for sticking by me, my family, my friends. You know, I'm a little emotional and overwhelmed right now.
As he should be. After more than 22 years in prison, a man convicted for murder is at home with his family right now.
A judge ruled to release him after deciding he deserves it.
And he was born and raised in Boston's Mission Hill housing development. To his friends and family, he is affectionately known as Toot or Joey. Hey, Joey. During his childhood, Joseph and his family experienced their first encounter with racial injustice at the hands of Boston police in October of 1989. This was during the high-profile Charles Stuart and Carol Stuart murder case, when his uncle Willie Bennett was falsely accused. In 1993, Joseph would again be accused of a crime he did not commit, the Morning Star Baptist Church stabbing. He was not convicted, and the district attorney filed the case as Nolle Prosequi, gotta get that language right. However, in 1997, Joseph was wrongly convicted of second-degree murder related to an incident at a Boston nightclub. He was sentenced to life in prison. After fighting for 22 years, he was granted bail in 2019. And since his release, Joseph has committed to building partnerships and improving the quality of life for African-American youth and men of color in Boston. And that organization is known as Yard Time.
Yard Time.
Let's get into it, fellas.
Yeah, so first of all, Mike, can I say this? Because I'm like, looking at, I'm like, hearing this, I'm like, he don't look like he's 22 years, strong. I'm like, what the? So whatever you're doing, man, it's working, man. It's working out for you, bro. Right.
I'm hiding it well.
Well, what are you doing? Let's get right into it. What are you doing to keep yourself looking so good and shopping?
Once I hit the floor, man, I just gotta give praise. I definitely have to make sure that I give praise to my God, man. Then I acknowledge my grandmother and my people that passed away, like he said, that my grandmother, my aunts and stuff, my father, things of that nature. Most importantly, man, I just got back into working out because I was never a workout dude. I was only a yard walker. So I just started getting back into just walking and just exercising, man, playing handball and stuff, doing things like that just to keep my mind focused. It's been a whirlwind this last week and a half. So, what the world just seen, I already knew.
And you ain't just you knew, you experienced it. So knowing and experience different, So let's get to Yard Time. How do you even come up with the name Yard Time?
That's dope, and I was hoping y'all asked me that. So, the reason why I'm gonna show you this right here. This is my tablet. This is my jail tablet. So, right. So this is what got me pretty much sitting in front of y'all. This little device right here. I was able to email people, email my daughter, shout out my daughter Jacora, Jemiah, shout out Cora, Nicora, all y'all. I had this little tablet right here.
That's
so
a tablet?
Yeah. It got it's music playing right now. It's playing anthem right now.
But be all in your business,
so I used to email my daughters, and she had put me a Facebook page up. And when I would send my emails, I would just regenerate just to, getting back out there and trying to figure out what was going on. So when them visits didn't show up, couldn't get through on the phone, them letters slowed down. Only thing I had next was when that CO called the Yard. So when he called the Yard, I got all my music on here, like 3,000 songs on here. So, I just used to always go outside, walk the yard, put my headphones on, just listen to music, dance and stuff, man. And, one day me and my man Teddy from Corbett, we had did a tournament, like we was in Washington Park. We had ran a tournament in the yard for just basketball tournament, man. And, brought out everybody out to the yard. And I'm like, damn, I feel like we in the park right now. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't like it was for big money. It was probably like $250, so we always had stress to the teams, none of y'all ain't taking care of this, so ain't no need to fight. Me and my man, we ain't been out here in so long. I just want to see what it felt like, the things I'm missing back home. So as we built that, And I just kept coming out. The young boys used to be like, it's yard time, right? OG, it's yard time, right? I'm like, yeah, yard time. So I used to spin the track and just think about that time, man. When these doors open up, man, what I'm gonna do, man. The first thing I said I gotta do is scream out yard time, and then secondly, I gotta dance on the courtroom.
Joe Bennett dreamed of this moment.
Yard time, we here.
Finally, his time after 20 years were stolen.
I feel great right now. I feel great. Yard time, everything's good.
I used to dance in the yard, and they used to always be like, why you always dancing? Why I'm always dancing? I'm gonna be dancing on the courtroom steps one day. I gotta practice my moves, baby. So that's how yard time came about.
Yeah, that's definitely predicting history in advance. And, so, once you came home, how was that feeling? Like just walking out the courtroom?
I was feeling so many emotions, man, you know what I'm saying? Because before getting to court, man, I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know, because I was on an appeal for a wrongful conviction. The judge, I didn't know how he was going to lean as far as bail, no bail. So when he gave me bail, and, family was like, cool, we can come get that. And that just walking out, man, was like joyful, man, just joyful. That's the one word I can say, man, just joyful. Like, yeah. Wow.
So how old was you when you went in?
On this case, I was 21 years old. 21. So I like to tell people, man, because I'm a product of the system, man, from bad judgments and things of that nature, and police wrongful convictions and all of the rest of that stuff. But since I was a kid, man, I think I had 1992 summer and 1996 summer on the street. Every other one since 1989, when that Stuart case happened, I was always finding myself incarcerated. Like, I was a good kid up until that point, and then I just became a bad kid, you know what I'm saying? Then I just became a kid that was trying to survive in a tough world back in the 90s when it was going on. And, man, I'm just glad I'm here now.
Yeah,
I met Joe in those 90s, and I felt like what he is now is a lot of what he was back then. I think of Joe as an influencer, someone who could get people to make moves. And I don't know if you knew you had that energy back then.
I did.
I'm older, so I was watching. I'm like, damn, this dude can make the whole crew move a certain way. And I noticed that. And part of it had a lot to do with just you being confident about who you were and being grounded in that. And I felt like, regardless of how the history of the neighborhoods went, man, I was like, those are some people that I'll always be connected to. And then as life had progressed, I'm like, man, I saw you in different places, and it always was consistent with love. So, just a heads up for those folks who be like, yo, I'm from this neighborhood, and I'm from that neighborhood, and we don't get along, whatever. I want you to think about this like this. How big is your influence? And if you think about how big your influence is, man, you think about how you can connect with folks that may not be from your neighborhood, but they walk in the same energy that you are. And I felt like that with you back then, too. I was like, politics of the neighborhood, but this dude right here, every time I see him, it's consistently love, and then after that, it goes from there. So I want to, give you a shout out for that, and also give some inspiration to folks who may not think that they can move past neighborhood gripes, man. We gotta make those connections. I appreciate us being right where we're at, because I know that what's consistent about what we're doing is like we're trying to make stuff better for our neighborhood.
Speaking of energy, since we're talking about this topic, and I got you brothers here, and I look at you as prominent figures in the areas that you grew up in, like people that was loved, respected on so many different levels, and also probably looked to for guidance. What do you think was one of the factors that really contributed to different hoods having that different kind of beef and
it
issues?
really was like misunderstandings, geographical areas, egos, relationships with different people. Yeah. I might have a relationship with someone, and he might be from another neighborhood, and now by us having that strong relationship, we might become allies, but their allies might not. They might war with another neighborhood that we really have no problems with, but they might look at it differently.
Right.
So, and it's always like friction, but the friction might not be with me and Toot or my crew or his crew. It might be a crew that might be affiliated with his crew or my crew. And a lot of us overlook that minute piece of the streets because we taking on beefs for other people and other things that we have no knowledge or history of.
Very much so. I'll touch on that also. For me, I felt like, you know, where I grew up at, I didn't really have no OGs like that was in the game. So I came up in the game, like literally came up in the game. My man Collins came down our way, you know, and like I learned from real dudes that was in the streets that carried the streets right. You know, I started on Interville with them. I was a little kid. And I had to say, let me transition back down Mission because that's where I'm born and raised. But everything I learned from that era up there in those Dorchester streets, I brought down to Roxbury, and we all figured it all out as a team, as a project. One thing about that is like when you have a project, you have 45, 50, 60, 70 people with you. Like you can only be like, whoa, at this point. But back then I was excited. I thrived in chaos. I loved it. You know, I had a great energy. You know, I took some losses. I got some shells in me still, you know, but at the end of the day, today, I'm not bitter at it. You know, it was a part of the game. I'm just happy to say I survived that era. You know, that era was brutal. I think it was, what, 152 back then?
Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
That, it was
Yeah.
brutal back then.
Yeah.
So, you know, I was still young coming up. I'm young. I mean, now I'm a little older, but back then I was like 16, 17, learning it, you know, learning the game. And I was learning from some good teachers, but I also, one thing that I did that a lot of people didn't do was I was watching other people like Dex. So when Dex say he was watching me, I was watching him. That's why the admiration and respect was there, because he played fair. The dudes that played fair, I always watched and know, because if you don't, it might not end in your favor. so that was my homework and lessons on when I was involved in that way.
I want to say, you just mentioned my man, was someone who's dear to me. Shout out to Collins, man, and the energy that he brings, man. That's one of those dudes. I'm glad you mentioned his name, because he's one of the guys that helped me understand the game. And I'm from, you know, he's a traveler. You know that, I gotta say, Collins was a traveler, man.
Yes.
And if you were smart enough to, or privileged enough to have him in your space, man, you would know what a genuine, for lack of a better word, gangster moves like, man. He was one of those guys, and you know, and I'm gonna use that same term. He taught me how to play fair. You know, playing fair was the best way for me, because I felt like I wanted fair, so I'm gonna give it fair.
So you know, historically, like when the feds is involved and different people are trying to pick up different areas, why do you think they use the term gang and associate people like with the whole gang?
Late 80s, man, they started doing that stuff where they was trying to categorize us.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if y'all was right in it. They was sliding up on you and asking your name and getting your, you know, trying to get your information. All of that to me was like, we didn't know back then, but of course hindsight's 2020. You thinking about it,
racial
you're like,
profiling.
yeah, exactly. They're really
Data collected.
There was, you know, they was
I like
really.
how you say that, because with the whole project thing, you can only think they was trying to collect data. Like that's what you do with projects. You have a hypothesis, you have some different things that you're some variables that you're going to put in, included.
And see what happens,
yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think part of that was them giving themselves the leeway to come at us like they did about 5 or 10 years after that, where it was like, oh, we're busting down gangs, not understanding the community dynamics of it, or even understanding how the elimination of some of these organizations, because I call it family more than anything, because it's not even about, you know, coming together to create, you know, chaos. It's like survival, man. It was like, how do we get from A to B without being scarred? And part of it was like, you know, getting past the police trying to categorize you as someone from this neighborhood, so you gotta be. I remember getting pulled over, and this is hilarious. I'm getting pulled over a Humboldt, and I'm like, okay, so what's gonna happen here? And they pull out the paper, and they're like, I'm like, write me down, because I had a license then. I might have been about 18 years old. And I'm like, write me down, because, you know, where you gonna put me at now? Because if you pull me off, I'm a Humboldt. And it was funny because the ignorance of that was them that they put me down as somebody who's from that neighborhood. I was laughing. I always laughed about that because, like, how wrong could they be? And it's only because they caught me in a certain, no information behind it. And I felt like
that's why we need to talk about these unlawful convictions.
Absolutely.
This is, you know, this is where it stems from, like, from the beginning of time, guys.
I mean, for me, I didn't get a chance to, you know, go through that as far as like the federals and the sweeps and the different co-defendants. I only had one co-defendant tweet. So I didn't, you know, I traveled with the crew, but I only had one co-defendant.
And that was a blessing.
Yes.
You know, the feds they play different. So, you know, back when we got indicted, they had a lot of people that wasn't even from my neighborhood on it. And that wasn't even from Grove Hall, just like that. People from Lenox, Roxbury, and it's like they throw anyone on for, like you said, data collection, and it's to make them look good in the newspaper, but it's really corrupt on the way they doing it, and unlawful, because you adding people on a case and you saying they part of the Mission Hill gang or the Castlegate gang, and now that sticks with these innocent people, that stigma, because when I went in the Fed system, they said, they like, oh, you're a Castlegate gang member, and I was like, but it's on my paperwork because of the case.
Right.
And I was like,
Who told y'all to tell the world that?
Yeah, that's what happens.
That this is what
They
we're
do that.
doing.
They do that in the state jails.
Yeah.
They do that in the state jail. As soon as you come into jail, they tell you where you from. They STG you.
Yeah.
They make sure they make sure you with your boys and they're with their boys.
Wow.
Like they don't. There's no more mixing now. None whatsoever.
Really?
so they get all the intel before you even.
They
I heard they ask you.
If
They don't know, they ask you.
Yeah, flat out.
Wow.
And some people
don't
be
know,
so
they gonna
nervous.
guess.
Some people be so scared that they tell them, "Yeah, put me with my mans in there." Max, I ain't lying. I done seen a few come in and be like, "Nah, man, this don't look like." I don't see two dudes that I know, man. Let me go in. Y'all gonna switch me to another unit in a polite way.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Wow. So, Joe, I know you're doing a lot of stuff, a lot of work with, or you know, eliminating recidivism and dealing with kind of like bridging incarceration and returning citizen stuff. Can you talk a little bit about that? What some of the work you're doing and what you're pouring into right now?
Yeah, definitely. So right now, like I said, when I walked out that courtroom, man, I didn't know what it was. I was happy to be home. So me being home, I was home for 8 months, and then I went back for 90 days, yo. And I just told you, I've just been in jail pretty much all my life. But that 90 days was probably the longest 90 days of my whole life, because I counted that sucker day for day, and then COVID struck. And then it was like, we about to close the courts. I thank God for a paid attorney. No, file this motion for emergency release. You cannot leave me here. I got things to do. So I wind up getting out. And then when I realized, like, there's no resources for mental health advocacy, for dudes coming out here, their families, you know, because what a lot of people don't realize when, you know, for me, I'm going to speak for me personally. When I came home, you know, I had promised a lot of people a lot of things that I genuinely felt like I was going to fulfill on, you know what I'm saying? But then life happened, like I got out and seeing that time was moving so fast for me that my whole brain was about to explode. So I had to start backpedaling, not keeping promises and, doing things like that. So I started to build more on that mental health part of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, it gotta be something that I could focus on that's gonna help me adjust to society, man. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't wanna be running to the point where I'm running right back to jail. I've been home 4 years. This is the longest I've been out of any institution.
Go ahead.
This is the longest I've been out of any institution. 4 years.
Go ahead.
You know, and I'm still on bail fighting my murder case. This ain't over. I'm doing all this, still fighting a murder case. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to make sure that, because I ran with a lot of dudes in jail, that good, respected dudes that I knew was flipping their case and on their way home, that don't have this opportunity. So when they come out them doors like I did, I had a little village. I want to make sure they got a bigger village. You know what I'm saying? My village was small, but with the yard, man, you know, that's a big village, man. Cause you can go to any state, man. Like y'all was in the fest, so y'all can go to any state and hit somebody on another state. Like, yo, man, I'm about to come out here and chill. So yo, and I done did it with dudes that I know everywhere else. You know what I'm saying? And that's the beauty of it. You know what I'm saying? It's bad that we gotta sit in those situations, but the friendships and the camaraderie that you build in those places, some of them are stronger than the ones that you build out here on these streets.
And it's priceless.
It's priceless.
It's priceless because you with someone for how many years? 4, 5, 6, 7 years, and you building true friendship like that because you with them every day, every night. It's not you with them sporadically like you might be with your friends on the street. You with these guys locked in a unit, playing basketball, cards, doing whatever, you know, going out to yard time together. So it's you building these relationships, and that's what makes the relationship priceless. And you hate to leave them behind while you out, but it happens like that.
Yeah.
But you keep that bond.
Can you take me through an experience for someone who is just out and they get in touch with Yard Time? What does that feeling look like?
So we got Facebook, we got Facebook, Instagram, you know, Twitter, all the social media sites for people to reach out. But most of it come from the straight referral from the joint. I'm still plugged in the joints. You know what I'm saying? So the authenticity, like he said, like, yo, we get out, man, call Toot, man. Like, you know, and a good portion of them don't, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not mad, but, you know, I got this saying, and I mean that, man, like, if you don't call me out here, if you get sent back, don't call me, because I'm not picking it up. And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just like, yo, I could have helped you before you got back to that point. Even though you might, you know, I was a little cocky and arrogant, even though you might not want to say, yo, man, I'm going to reach out to Toot. Bro, I genuinely don't want you to go back there. So regardless of what, like, you know, took place inside those places, like, you know, I still want to see you out here thriving, because I know in there is nothing but a cage, and they don't want you to survive out here. So, you know, but I want to say this. Can I just shout out my man, Odia Fernandez, man, Power Ranger, man. We trying to bring him home, man. I'm going hard for that, man. Like, this dude, man, you know, we had a horseman team. It was, you know, I had a lot of dudes that we was cool with, but my immediate circle, it was 5 of us, you know, me, Hollywood, Riz, P-Dub, and Old Man Weedo. Like, and we ran through some jails. Like, we stuck together. All of us, like, had life bids, except for one of them. You know, he had an 18 and 20, but he felt like it was a life bid. And they all home except for my man, Power Ranger, Old Dead, you know, and we going hard for him. We used to have this saying where it's like, leave no man behind. We didn't care what jail we was in. We would check in with each other every Saturday on 3-way call. Thank God to T-Mobile for all them conference calls. You know what I'm saying? So even now, the jail calls is free. Shout out to that. Word. So now they can call and save some money for families, not just the hood, just the families in general. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of dudes don't really go back for their guys, yo. We got to start focusing a lot more on that. You know, there's a Harriet Tubman project. I'm not familiar with it like that, but I know that's the point of it. You know, let's go back and get some of these dudes, man. You know, and I like to tell people, like, if you get called for jury duty, go to jury duty, yo. that's stopping some of these wrongful convictions,
I got
man.
jury duty. I don't know if it's the show or what, but just since you said jury duty, I got like 4 jury. I was like, is there a limit to how they must? Hey, they like my perspective.
Yeah,
The drama is
because
jury duty.
you know you can stop if you go to jury duty. You can change the course of somebody's life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Some people you might have to make a decision, but you got to stand firm on your beliefs. But if you don't go, and then that next person that go, that person might send that person away for the rest of their life for a wrongful conviction.
But on the flip side, when you receive that, I could see how it could be just like a whole process that needs to be like really reevaluated, because when people get them, like, you might be like, dang, I gotta go, I don't want to go, I got something going on that date. So it really can impact your decision making if you're not someone who is qualified, I would say, like, to really to share your perspective or to judge someone. To judge someone is a big thing, like, especially if you have racist people on it's just, I don't know, it made me feel some kind of way with it. I was like, geesh.
Part of you have to.
But does everybody get it though? Like,
yeah, listen,
like,
I ain't had one in a minute.
I mean, once I become legal, I can't wait for mine.
Yeah.
Once all my shit is cleared up, I cannot wait for mine. Real talk, because I'm gonna sit there like this. I'm gonna take notes. Things like that. But that kills a lot of wrongful convictions. You know what I'm saying? Because there's people that fold that are not strong, that know that person shouldn't go to prison, and a mistrial is better than a conviction to me any day. Yeah. Let's try it again.
Let's look it over again.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's part of the civic duties, man, that we have, and we gotta step into. Yes. I know it's not comfortable, because who wants to be up in the courthouse? Especially it's trauma when I go to court.
I kind of got excited a little bit.
A driver's citation, like, yeah, I gotta get my mind ready for that. But I want to encourage folks to that's part of it. I'm glad you mentioned that. Mm-hmm. Part of jury duty is part of holding them accountable for some of the foolishness. Because man, in the 90s, I knew that. You remember that school zone?
Yeah, definitely.
Law?
Yeah.
250 feet.
My
it was 1,000.
1,000. Whatever. It started off 1,000, went to 250.
Yeah,
but my 16-year-old behind knew at that time. I was 17. I got caught for that, and I was like, man, there's too many schools around here. It's not fair.
But why is the school zone near Methadone Mile?
Well, I know. You see, why is
that's
the school zone?
I mean, that's a school zone, Methadone Mile. Like, how it's, I don't know.
But it's laws
why
like
would
that.
They put, okay, maybe I'm saying it wrong. Why would they put like those clinics and things in school zones? You get what I'm saying? Don't it seem like something like
you're making me think that whole game has changed, because before it was we don't want you nowhere near schools, and we're going to convict you for that, even if you're not. And it was a mandatory sentence. It was one of the mandatory.
That's how they designed it. When they designed it back in the days, like, they might have a school in Mission, and they'd be like, that's 1,000 feet.
Yeah.
Like, around Cascade, we had the Burke, so we couldn't escape that 1,000 feet. Because even if we was over 1,000 feet, they would scale it a little bit down more. They say you got caught in building 14, but you really at building 6. So you gotta get a school zone.
You know back then. I knew
every
back
neighborhood
then.
had a school.
The layout's crazy.
It was wrong, man. You go to Brockton. I mean, I'm not using Brockton as an example, but Brockton, you go to an affluent. You go outside of Boston, because Brockton ain't affluent. Brookline. You know where the school is. One school here, one school there, one school there. Yeah. And that, to me, you can figure out where you're gonna be at. You're gonna get a zone. But that's one of them things. So it's like those laws should have been challenged back then. Is what my whole thing. We should have challenged them. And I appreciate folks who are doing that, like challenging those laws, man, because they ain't right.
I want to shout out the paralegals too, man. Yeah. Mac Hudson, man. Sean Ellis, Dwayne Crew III, man. All y'all dudes, man. That was the paralegals that got some dudes out here, the dudes that's still in there that's getting dudes out that can't get themselves out. Like, I'm big on this yard thing, man. Like, we got some of the smartest dudes that's behind them walls, man. And some of the smartest dudes, they on their way out. They here now, they doing this thing, So I want to shout out all of them, man, because these dudes, Mac and them, they focusing on exactly what you said, changing the policies. Yeah. Changing the policies. So, you know, that's not my area of expertise.
Yeah,
But I support that, definitely.
Even when I was upstate with Orange, man, you know,
Yep.
he helped me look at my case through a different lens.
Exactly.
And Fuquan, you know, you got so many different
Fuquan,
people
definitely.
that's so nasty with the law that they still helping people. So yeah, definitely shout out to all them, Mac Hudson, you know, Sean Ellis, all of them. You
Right.
know, it's so many.
I'm just thinking like what a typical day would look like with dealing with someone who has that kind of knowledge in jail is like for you guys. Like, do you have access to them? Only certain people have access to them. Do they get paid for it?
I'm
Like,
saying they. I mean, look. Let me sit up for this one. Zip my shirt
Is there-
down. 'Cause, look,
Go ahead, get comfortable.
they gonna do the work like a lawyer on the street gonna do the work. If you only want to get them honey buns and shit, they gonna get. If you only want to get them honey buns and things, they gonna get around to your case when they get around to it. You wanna put some real paper on their books. They gonna spend quality time. Every time you see them, you might be headed to the gym, they headed to the law library, but they got your file in their hand talking about, look, man, I see you on the way out. Okay. You know, that was me. I spent that bread. That's why I'm sitting here today. I'm telling you, I was grinding, and I spent that money on the legal lot, on the lawyer out here to get me home. Shout out my lawyer. Sorry about that, Jen. Jennifer O'Brien, Lorenzo Perez. If it wasn't for y'all, they was my lawyers for 11 years.
Wow. They stayed through it.
They stayed through it. Pro bono. Initial payment. I gave them initial payment, and I got a denial on my Rule 30. And they just, it didn't sit well with them. They was like, man, we taking this pro bono. We bringing you home. And we just grinded. And when I said some of them paralegals grinded with me, and, you know, their grind over here with that paralegal, and my grind was over here trying to make sure I was securing whatever needed to be secured. And thank God, man, like my people Hollywood always say, man, this thing came together just the way I had planned it, man. Y'all don't even know the inspiration between yard time is basically that little Caesar monkey. I watched that little monkey think his way out of a cage. That's why the logo. That's
the logo,
why,
right?
That was the logo. That was the original logo. That wasn't getting no grant money though.
Wait, let's talk about on the flip side, because you guys are all organized. We out here in the organization tip. This is a perfect time to flip to this real quick. As far as with funding and support and the different things, we was at GBH. Shout out to GBH. We was there over this, like 2 days ago?
Yeah.
A couple of days ago, and one of the topics that Senator Miranda was talking about was where the taxpayer dollars are going as far as with the funding being poured into the organizations that aren't really doing the work. So I like to tap in and see how each of you feel, because I know you come out of your pocket to do things, you invest in time, you're out here really actually doing the work on the front line. How do you feel about that? What changes would you like to see happen as far as with funding and the support that each of you and your organizations need?
I mean, I got ADD, so if I don't remember, I'm sorry. But look, I'll go first. I'll kill it right quick. Honestly, I need mental health support. I need the funding to go to mental health to hire clinicians that are on site. I need an office space. That's what I pitch, because my thing is, I got a group that happens every Tuesday evening. But at the end of the day, when them men go home, I don't want them to have to wait till Tuesday to get back with us. So if we got an office space for them to come into, then that's what we're trying to do. That's what we're trying to accomplish. And right now, that goal is looking very promising thanks to this documentary. Doors that I couldn't even get to the other door to knock on the door. Now them doors is opening and asking, come on in. So, yeah.
God, good.
That's beautiful. I think the work that I do professionally is really trying to catch those young folks prior to them getting jammed up. And I think that's as important to kind of like deter them from even getting into the situations that we were in, man. Because once you get jammed up, like you told Joseph's bio, I mean, it started. I think honestly, you probably was tagged from your uncle.
That's what it was.
And if they followed, you know, it's like there's an easy case all the time with this guy, and they follow him. And then him being an influencer, because I'm telling you, influencer, I seen that. You know, him being one of those guys, it's like, yo.
They always like to make an example out of someone.
They want to knock, they want to knock
so that they can just get it done quick, like bang, bang, boom. Everybody's gonna see this. We're gonna get the press off our back. It's gonna make things easier. That's just like a strategic move that somebody who's trying to get something done fast and don't give a damn
Absolutely.
about the people that might even be involved, just really the outcome and how they're gonna look at the end. Just to add on to that.
It's like they followed you, man, and they was like, I'm gonna make sure that we make an example of him. If we knock him off, the others will fall. And unfortunately, man, that's the tactic that they used on him, and you know they got you jammed up. But I'm excited about what you're doing now, man. Moving forward, pushing that, making that energy an inspiration. Like, yo, y'all try to knock me out. Look at me now, and I'm still going. And I want to make sure that I encourage you and the folks that's like moving your way, yo. Be authentic, man. And I know you are too. That's what makes me like yo. And then he's connected to one of the guys that's is so influential to me. Shout out to Davo, man. That's my dude. And the story that they have, like, I was like, I love that story. I'm not gonna mess with it because it ain't my story, but I know I heard it, and it's a beautiful story. And I heard it from two perspectives, which makes it even more solid. I'm like, word. And we gotta help each other out.
Yeah, Davo inspired me to make Yard Time a nonprofit. He challenged me. He definitely challenged me. And that story real quick is just basically when I came out April 30th, May 1st, I made Yard Time a sole proprietor just to get the name to own it. I talked to Davo one day and he was like, hey man, this and this. And I was like, yeah, I got that. He's like, man, you only could do this and this. And I said, all right. He said, but if you do this, you could do better things. And I said, okay, next time you see me, I'm gonna do better things. He said, all right, I hear that a lot. I said, yeah, this the first time we meeting, man. I don't like to be challenged, but I promise you, and the next time I seen him, we had Yard Time as a nonprofit organization that was serving the community.
Dope.
That's determination right there.
Yes.
But that's also stems from your leadership, like, you know, Dexter was saying, influence. You know, your leadership.
Like I said, I learned from good dudes to play it fair, man, to play the game fair, man. You know what I'm saying? It was always like, we didn't have to sneak you. If you knew that we didn't like each other, we didn't like each other. If it didn't have to happen, it didn't have to happen. If it happened out of respect. And one thing I could say, like, out of that respect, when I got to prison, a lot of that respect became, you know, clicked up. It would be dudes that you were cool with that was now cool with other dudes, but they look at you. Now, my motto is like this, man. You know, roll with your boys, right? Me and you are still cool. Just don't punch me. I'm gonna have some friends with me that we can fight, man. You punch on one of them, and me and you still be cool, man. Like, I just don't, because, I mean, you had to pick a side, man. Choose a weapon, pick a side, man. And sometimes, man, you know, you had to make it a bad decision.
And I'm glad you mentioned Tweet too, man. I can't. You know, I always associated them two together because Tweet was my boy first. I met him first, and I was like, he was this young dude who's young man. That is crazy. So shout out to Tweet, man. Every time I think about him, and I went thinking about, man, his smile, man. His smile used to be, man, it was contagious. And and sometimes when I see him, we are in bad spots, man, but that smile be wrong across the room. I'm like, we good, man. This is a beautiful thing, man. So just thinking about another guy that helped make Joe's solid, man. That was right with your partner, man.
Yeah, that's part of character building. You know, then when you came home, you know, you just took them same qualities that you always had and just turned it legit.
I definitely did. I ain't gonna even lie to you, bro. Like, so I'm like, everything y'all seeing now, I had 22 years to plan this shit. So y'all just getting it now for the world, but like there's a blueprint, like, you know, even down from the documentary you know, certain parts, certain episodes, certain things. Like, I like strategically put this together, like, because I had 22 years to plan this, you know what I'm saying? And some people be like, oh, I didn't know you was, and you know, my favorite thing is when somebody be like, oh, you don't remember me? I'll be like, nah, not really. Then they get offended, and I'm like, hold on, I should be offended. You remember me, but when I was gone, you didn't send no letter, no visit, no phone call, so how would I remember you? If you wasn't somebody that was
You was
immediately
21,
dead.
right? What was those like? Because I think my son's 18. I just feel like at that age and at his age right now, you still need so much nourishment and guidance. And what was you feeling like? You know, like just to be given life, like your whole life, and you haven't even really touched life at 21.
So I love basketball, so I always equate that to thing. They took the first quarter. I pretty much, you know, up until like, so 18, I turned to adult, got probation, went to jail with Dex in 93. You know, that was like the first quarter. I got out, I was home 10 months later, 21, gone. Third quarter, 30s, gone. Got the half of the fourth quarter, got out at 45. You know, I'm 49 now. And I say, look, man, everything is overtime. We're going to do triple, double, everything. We ain't stopping this. Everything is overtime. I'm going full steam ahead because, you know, at the age I am, I'm not in the, you know, my health ain't the best. I'm older. I'm dealing with things, you know, and it's crazy out here. So I'm still running. And, you know, I'll tell you a little secret just that I don't tell people. So when everybody say, yo, why you outside all the time? Because every time the police came and got me, they came and got me between 12 and 4 o'clock in the morning. Yo, so if I'm at a club, between 12 and 4, I know they ain't gonna be at my door. And I usually get to work at 6 o'clock, so I got a 2-hour window. You know, and that's what trauma was doing. That's what trauma still does, you know, and that's the thing that people don't realize. Like, we face trauma in different ways. Until you be able to identify your trauma, you're gonna just keep fighting. And this fighting with yourself is hard as hell.
No question. Dope.
Yeah.
The whole trauma piece, I feel like a lot of men have a hard time admitting that they have mental health issues.
That's why I'm out here advocating for it. Because
Mm-hmm.
I'm a whole G. I was a whole menace. And that was only because I had mental health issues.
Yeah.
Me in my right state of mind right now, like they said, I've always been a leader. I always had the potential to lead. You know, me in my right state of mind right now, not doing what I was doing, I'm leading. You know, that's what Caesar did. Caesar got out and united a community of apes. That's what I'm trying to do. That's the yard. You know what I'm saying? That's why that movie is inspirational. When I tell y'all that little monkey thought his way out of that cage. I was on my 3rd appeal. If I lost that, if you know, you lose as many appeals you lose, they start watering down. They don't even want to hear you no more. I was on my 3rd appeal. That was like scratching, like, yo, something gotta go, something gotta give. And when them lawyers was like, we're not giving up. And they convinced the Innocent Project to take my case. Once the Innocent Project take your case, you're pretty much good, because ain't no judge in the country not gonna say, I don't believe the Innocence Project.
How do you get in touch with the Innocence Project? How did they make that bridge?
Well, so me, at the time, I had went through Lisa Kavanaugh, and my attorney went through there. But right now, Sean Ellis is their advocate for the Exoneree Network. You can get in touch with Sean Ellis, and he could point you in the right direction for them.
Good stuff. I think one of the things that I picked up from your story, and I didn't even know as intimately too, was that, yo, man, you had three appeals, man. And to me, that is
see what
great.
I'm
Yeah,
saying?
3 appeals is when it gets really funky as far as getting at least a hear. So that's dope, man. That you did not quit and you kept pushing forward.
I mean, 3 appeals, 17 witnesses. I had 17. Y'all gotta remember, this happened in the Rose Club, so I went to jail because one person said I killed his friend. I did 22 years because one person lied. That one person told them he lied. I got convicted in 1998. He signed the affidavit in 2000 saying he lied. I didn't get out till 2019.
So they had the goods way earlier.
They had it way earlier. And the only reason why I'm sitting here is because that Judge Peter Kruk, who was a federal defense lawyer, could look at it from a different lens. From a different, like, how do I have 17 witnesses saying I didn't do it, and they have one, and now their one said he lied, they have none, which is the reason why I'm still on the street 4 years later waiting for this trial, because they don't have a witness to take me back to trial, so they hope that I make bad decisions and go back to jail, which is why I'm staying positive.
That's right.
But I have to worry about now this documentary coming out, you know, it's a beautiful thing. I promised my uncle we was going to get that done. That was like the one promise I had, you know.
And how did that feel for you? And like, cause that, outside of all the trauma that you just spoke about, like, we didn't really flip back to like, you know, how you and your family was dealing with so much surrounding that case. Like, how did it feel to really express yourself and be able to tell your side of the story, you and your family just. So
if you see the first episode, so before that case happened, like I said, Mission Hill was fun to me. You know, we had, like I said, being in the project, it was such a great time. Like, you grow up, man, and because you're in the project, man, your neighbor might be a Spanish dude, he can become your best friend, you know what I'm saying? And then that 1989 October 23rd night happened, and it just shattered the camaraderie of that neighborhood. It just broke everything apart. That's where my trauma began. That's where it all started. Because before that, we was happy-go-lucky kids, you know? I tell people all the time, you can look at my DYS history. I went from stealing dirt bikes and motorcycles and scooters and cars and this. Now I'm assault and battery, attempted murder. Now I'm working on my craft. This is crazy. Like, you know, so you could see the transition into, you know, after that, I wanted to be my uncle. I wanted to be my uncle because it was like, yo, I see how these people are treating us. So you're not going to keep treating us like this, but I had to fight. And like I said, my trauma turned into my survival because now I'm in the streets heavy, and now I got to survive these streets. So I don't have time to focus on no trauma. I have time to flip.
That's a lot.
That's definitely a lot.
And it's inspiring though too, because there's so many guys who didn't really have like the OGs in their life, like we talked about earlier. So for you to be able to really like tap into the younger men's mindset early is definitely a preventive action that I respect from being a mom and having brothers and my father and different things like that. So the work you're doing is real dope.
Thank you.
And to be doing it while you're juggling everything else, like how do you find that balance, that space for you and your mental health, or is your
my group is my balance. Like, you know, I look forward to that, but like you said, that getting this like this way from this documentary, this hoax, it weighed heavy on me for 35 years. Like, my uncle was the head of the family, so he said, don't talk about it. You know? He didn't talk about it, so it weighed heavy on me. And then when I came home, I said, I gotta say it, I gotta talk, I can't let this keep going on like this. You know, because I was incarcerated, and I used to see the movies and the thing come on, the little channel 25 too, you know, the unsolved mysteries, you know, so I'm like, nah, this ain't the narrative. This is wrong. This is wrong. This is all the way wrong. They made this, man, no, this is wrong. Yeah. So, you know, and now that I was able to do that, I unpacked a lot. And y'all see that Monday and the following Monday, because now it becomes more like getting into our family side of it, the conversation, you know, and I unpacked a lot. We unpacked a lot, you know, and Yeah, it's going good, man, you know.
Yeah.
That's dope, man. I'm man, too, and I'm glad y'all addressed that. You know, that's a story. It's a world famous story. Believe that. You're world famous. Your family's world famous for that, and it's amazing how once the trickery that was involved in that story came out, how they kind of like they got brushed it away. Like they didn't really talk about that too much, about a man who killed his own wife and was driven to like try to hide it so much so, but that he'll allow a whole city, not because the whole city was on the siege behind that.
Yes, it was.
And I know they concentrated on Mission Hill, but I promise you, that gave the Boston police and the state feds, that gave them rights to come through every neighborhood with the foolishness, and they did.
First.
And you know what? They never really addressed that.
And they never even said sorry, did
No,
they?
no,
I didn't see
sorry.
nothing
What
saying
sorry
they
for what?
really made a mistake.
crazy,
When I was
right?
doing my homework, I found it on Wikipedia. I'm like, it done made Wikipedia, but we ain't like talking about it in the city and the state, like, because accountability is really a piece of healing for everyone who was impacted by the trauma that comes with it. Like,
I will say this,
you know,
accountability is happening.
Yeah.
This
Okay,
documentary, they only seen one, this documentary, and shot, and I was gonna say shout him out, but, yeah, shout out to Jason here, man. Jason, I love you, man. That's it, man. That's it. You know what I'm saying? And y'all gonna be able to see, man, there's a difference.
We need to hear that story from a different perspective.
It's being told from a
because
different perspective.
It's so, and everybody who's from Boston or even in the neighborhood around that time knew that was some foolishness.
Right.
That ain't even how we hustle.
Yeah.
That ain't even how we hustle.
Not at all.
Nah,
And
no,
you
not
know
at
what's so
all.
crazy?
Yeah.
Even when I was in the feds, a lot of people was talking about that case because we was watching a little biopic on Lifetime
Right.
or Unsolved Mysteries, and I'm like, oh, that's I'm explaining to the best of my ability that that's not true on how they portraying it.
Yeah.
So it's definitely big that y'all stepped up and made this happen. Just for the world to see.
I'm pretty sure an apology's gonna follow. And shout out to my team, Ari, Bowie, Sonny, man, Yard Time, man. Ari's the brains, man. I'm just the face of Yard Time.